Hello everyone, welcome to my review of the Wonder Woman Premium format by Sideshow Collectibles. This is a piece that I actually had pre-ordered back in the day when it was first announced, and I actually also cancelled my pre-order by Sideshow at the time of this piece releasing. And the reason for that was that I didn't really like the stuff that I saw the early in-hand pictures of her, and for that reason I just simply decided to cancel it because, well, it would just be too much money spent on a piece that had to be shipped to me, and I also had to pay customs for it, and it needed to get to Denmark and all that. And well, if I at the same time didn't feel quite convinced about it, then I thought to myself that it might just as well be best if I simply cancelled it. But now I have it and I picked it up locally instead, and I'm actually very happy with this piece. One of the things that people have been talking about is the quality control, or simply some of the paint flaws and stuff going on this piece. And I have to say, from the very beginning of this review, my piece, although it seems perfect, there are some small issues, and I guess it's basically down to the observer whether you find these small flaws to the paint important or not. Personally, well, I never let that stuff get to me too much. The eyes are good on this one, and most of the flesh tones and all that are perfect. There are some small issues. I'm gonna show you some pictures of it, but it's not really anything that I have noticed, at least not from day one. Of course, when you have a piece standing around over a couple of days, you're gonna notice some stuff as you look at it, but I haven't really noticed anything really crucial. And overall, I'm actually quite happy, and I feel quite lucky having gotten this, because I have seen some worse cases when it comes to this particular piece. And I think one of the reasons for these stories you hear and pictures you see is that, well, this piece was released in a very large edition size, and I guess that kind of comes with the territory when you have a release that has these many samples. I mean, it was the same story with the Batman Premium format, more or less, I think. And I'm sure that if you look at any other release by Sideshow that has an extensive edition size, you're gonna hear and see some stories by people that are of a more negative character, I guess. But you also have to keep in mind that with these large edition sizes, well, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of happy collectors also. Typically, you just hear the bad stories and the negative stories in the community, and that's just how things are, I guess. And I think it's also okay that we have a focus on where Sideshow could do a better job, just to keep them at their game, I guess. Right, guys, that's a long introduction. I'm gonna zoom in, and we're gonna have a look at the face area and all the details of the sculpt, and of course the paint application. So just give me 1 second here. Alright guys, here we have the face, and as you can see, the paint application here is actually very nice. The skin tones and all the nuances of the skin are really nicely applied. It really looks authentic, I guess, and realistic. The lips are also perfect, I think. They have a kind of shine or gloss to them. And the eyes, of course, which are probably the most important thing, they are, in my opinion, very aligned here. So I'm not having any issues at all, I think. She's wearing this crown thingy, and it also is nicely applied. It has the same color scheme as some of her suit areas, and also her hair is black, of course, with blue tints and highlights, also very nicely applied, I think. And yeah, it looks really nice, I think, here. The main thing about this piece, or at least one of the beautiful aspects of this piece, is the hair sculpt. I really find this vivid, lively looking hair sculpt to be really nicely done. It's basically a hard sculpt on most areas with these tips that could easily break, but I haven't found any cases of that on this one, at least. And then you also have these very small strings here that are softer material that has been glued onto the bigger hair piece here. You can see they are kind of, you can move them around a bit. Of course, you have to be careful though. And it just really comes together and adds this really lively and very interesting look to the hair. She's obviously standing atop some kind of pillar. Probably saw that earlier in this video. And yeah, the wind is just blowing through her hair, and that looks really awesome, I think. I'm gonna turn her around. As you can see on the back also, you have these skin tones going on with some highlights and some darker areas, darker pink areas, I think, on top of the lighter flesh tone. It looks really nice, and I can't really find any issues at all here. So I guess I'm kind of lucky when it comes to this piece, and I can't complain about that. But overall, it looks really nice. You can't see the entire spear here, I know, because, well, it's difficult to take a good picture of the entire spear without just being too far away from the piece and unable to see any details. Overall, the spear looks nice. There are some things that could be better, especially around her hand, the hand that she's holding the spear with. I'm going to show you a picture of it. I mean, the paint application here is kind of sloppy, I think. But I also think that's down to the sculpt simply, because not too much detail has been put into this particular area here. So overall it looks really nice, but there are some small things that they could definitely have done better. But those are not the areas that you are naturally going to look at or focus on when you're looking at this piece, at least not from a distance. So overall, it's still a very impressive piece despite these small things. And the pose, of course, is also very unique, the way that she's holding this spear. It's a very museum-like pose, and also a very intimidating but powerful look to her. She does really look like an Amazon warrior, and that's really important to translate into the sculpt. So Sideshow went the right direction, at least in terms of pose, I think. Alright guys, I'm going to zoom out, show you some of the body, the suit, and just more of the paint application, sculpts and details. So just give me 1 second. Alright guys, here we have her middle area, and it's really simple in terms of colors really. You only have these 4 or 5 colors going on: her flesh tone, her golden or metal areas, this red torso, the blue bottom, and of course the white stars also. And it looks really nice. I really like the way that Sideshow applied the colors here, along with the shadows and the highlights. You can really see some levels to all these areas, I think, especially on the metal bits or golden bits here, but also on the red torso, where you can see there are some highlights in what I assume are the seam lines here, and of course also these darker areas in between, these patches here that have a slightly darker tone of red, and it looks really nice, I think. And she's not really wearing that much clothes, so but anyways, it looks really nice. I'm gonna turn it to the side here so you can see her magic rope thingy, one of her iconic accessories, I guess. I'm gonna just zoom out a bit so you can better see it. Like that, because when I turn her this way, I'm sure you'll be interested in looking at just the blue areas, let me put it like that. And it's nicely sculpted, by the way. I'm sure you'll agree with me. And the colors here are the same, and as you can see on her back, these flesh tones here are really nicely applied, where you have these pink colors going on in all the darker areas. So there are some really nice and realistic looking flesh tones going on this piece, and I really like that. But overall, a very nice sculpt. I'm sure you'll agree with me. If we turn her even further to the side, actually I'm going to turn her like this. I hope you can see the details of the shield. I don't really know how sharp it is. Let me just check it. Yeah, I think it's okay. Now these are the same basically colors, red, gold, and blue. There are some metal colors going on also, and you have some nice shadows and highlights and all that. So it's a very nuanced paint application, I guess. It looks really realistic actually. Now, one of the things people have been complaining about when it comes to this piece, and I'm going to turn her now, is that the weight of her left hand here, which is holding the shield, it goes up into the forearm, with a peg vertically upwards. And one of the things people have been complaining about is the weight of this thing here, because it's made out of plastic and it kind of feels cheap, I guess, to the touch and to the lift. But anyways, I think one of the reasons they decided to do that was to just avoid people having this piece fall off, because as I said, it's vertically inserted into the forearm, so gravity will somehow pull in it, and if it's too heavy, well, it's just going to fall off, I guess. So they probably decided to go with a lighter material for this bit here, actually, to avoid issues with that. There are no magnets or anything, so it's simply a peg that goes into the forearm, and it just fits on tight. They might have applied some kind of material, some kind of lube or something like that, just to make it a bit more tight after it has been well applied, but I don't really know for sure. It sits on nicely. It's a bit wobbly, so exactly where I need to put it, I'm not sure, but I think this is just fine. But yeah, it looks nice, I think, still. And I really prefer the shield, by the way. I'm not saying that just because I only have the regular version. I mean, I think this is just more iconic looking, and if I had the exclusive, I would probably also display her with the shield still, I think. And honestly, I'm not just saying that because I only have the regular. That's just how I feel about it. Anyways, I think that basically covers everything about this area. I really like what I'm seeing here, and I'm not having that many paint application issues, at least not on this area. Maybe the magic rope thingy here is a bit simple, both in terms of sculpt and paint. They could probably have given it some more shadows or something like that, just to make the details stand out a bit more. But it looks nice, and it's made out of this also flexible plastic, so it won't break that easy. So yeah, but I like it anyways, and this is just a very nice sculpt, I think. It's very well done. Alright, I'm gonna zoom out, show you her bottom area, maybe the base if I can fit it in, or I'm gonna do that even later in this video, but yeah, just give me 2 seconds. Alright guys, here we have her lower area with her legs and stuff, and as you can see, we have the same flesh tones going on here, really nicely applied, really, and you have the same nuances and tones going on. The boots are also nicely painted. You have some white colors that are kind of weathered or off-white looking, and then you have, of course, these red areas that are also dirtied up, both on the red and the white. Actually, on the very bottom of the heels and stuff, you have them a bit weathered during just, I guess she's been fighting or something, and she's standing on this rubble here, so it makes sense that these areas are kind of dirtied up. So if you're ever in doubt, well, this is intentional, so don't complain to Sideshow about the dirty boots, because that's just how it's supposed to look. Now this area is actually one of the areas, this lower half here, where I am having some few paint application flaws. Actually, I don't know how well you can see it. Most likely you can't even see them all. I'm gonna point them out for you. On her left knee, there's some kind of black thing going on the front here, but it's very difficult to spot, really. I didn't spot it at first. I didn't even see it on the pictures I took of her, but I saw them shortly before. I saw this shortly before I made this review. It's very tiny and it's very easy to miss, so it's definitely nothing that really annoys me in any way. I guess I'm also kind of casual and relaxed about stuff like that, so it really needs to be bad before it's anything that I'm really concerned with. And the other thing that is a bit off looking or strange is this little white spot here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to provide a picture of this also. Now what I'm seeing here is a very more white looking area, as if it's actually covering up something. So they might have tried when making this piece to cover up something, but I don't really know what it could be, because everything about this piece is really nice and it looks almost perfect. So I don't really know what's going on here. It could probably be fixed if you had some kind of off-white color thing, paint, and you could cover it up pretty easily. So I don't really know what's that about, but it's nothing that really annoys me either. So yeah, I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to stuff like this, guys. And I'm sure that some of you who are watching this would probably contact Sideshow for these things here, but to me it's just so minute, it's so tiny, and I'm not even gonna bother with it. Maybe it's also because I'm in Europe and it's, well, getting a replacement or getting anything from Sideshow after having bought a piece. It's just a bit more complicated and lengthy, I guess. Other than that, I think that everything here is basically really good looking. I don't know how much of the base you can see on this part here. I'm going to show you a better view of the base in a few moments, but you can see there are some nice details going on with some additional pieces. The helmet here and the sword, I'm sure you can see that at least, can't you? Yeah, you can. And it looks really nice, this base. I'm not gonna say more about the base now though, because I'm gonna save that for the next clip. But anyways, her legs and everything about this is really nicely looking, I think. I love her long legs. They're really nice and beautiful, just firm and very elegant and beautiful. And definitely one of the things that you really notice about this statue. Definitely. At least I do. So I can only speak for myself, I guess. Anyways, let's have a look at the base before we wrap up this review. So just give me 2 seconds. So here we have the base, and I bet it's pretty obvious for most people that Wonder Woman is here standing triumphantly on top of this broken pillar thing going on, kind of in the theme of her background, her origin as an Amazon warrior. Are they related in some way to the Atlanteans? I'm not sure, but it's this theme that you see here, at least this kind of Greek looking pillar, and of course also just the style, by the way, of the helmet here. It's very gladiator Rome looking, so you have these ancient symbols kind of going on here. The base is really nicely detailed. I mean, all these rubble and the dirt and stuff is nicely looking. It looks really convincing, actually. I'm gonna do a 360. And you have the same kind of dirt going on all the way around it. It's broken off and she's standing right in the center of it. And then you also have this kind of classic looking top piece here, mantle thing. If you're in good standing with your high school education, you might have been told stuff about this style here. I've long forgotten all that, which I've learned about this stuff. So I'm just gonna say that this is classic looking, probably some kind of authentic look, I guess. Is it Corinthian or Ionic or whatever? I'm not gonna go into that because I've forgotten most of it by now. But it looks really nice, especially this flat area here. It looks really like some kind of marble surface, and it looks really realistic, actually. I'm gonna turn it all the way around here. So it's really nice. One of the things that people have been complaining about, though, in terms of the base here, as you can see, it's really big, actually. This is my full-grown manly hand here, and it's a really big base, but it's also very light. And this is one of the things that people have been complaining slightly about, because, well, when you see something as massive and intimidatingly looking in terms of size, at least like this base, you also kind of expect it to have a kind of weight to it. But it's actually rather lightweight. And it's also quite hollow, I think. Yeah. But the weight issue, that's a really long discussion. You could either be a proponent or an opponent to a heavy base. There are, of course, ups and downs to both. Of course, I can really understand people who want some kind of heavy feel to it, because this is a statue. And when you have a statue, you kind of expect it to be heavy. So I can understand why people would be slightly disappointed if the base is not that heavy. Especially when it looks like this, made out of rock or marble or whatever. And then it's just really lightweight. I could imagine that people would be quite disappointed when it comes to this. But to me, personally, don't really care that much. It's gonna look amazing when displayed anyways, so just be advised at least, so you know this is the case. It's not really that heavy. Well, I think that's basically all I have to say about the base, because I guess the pictures also really speak for themselves. And I covered the weight thing, so I think I covered everything now. So I'm gonna zoom out, and I'm going to wrap up this review, so just hang in there. Alright guys, I basically covered everything I wanted to say about this piece, I think. I'm really happy that I decided to get her. Also, even though this is just the regular edition, I find it actually to be way more interesting than the exclusive one, because I think that this shield is just the more display-worthy option of the two, because the exclusive comes with an axe, and I just find that to be a bit boring. So the shield is just so more iconic, I think, so that's definitely recommendable. So if you are considering getting this statue, don't hold out for the exclusive if you have the chance of getting the regular, because it's just as good, and it's basically the same statue, so it's not really that big a deal of getting the exclusive, in my opinion. Anyways, in terms of the paint application and the issues also that some people have been experiencing, well, in my case I had two smaller things, and I might be a bit casual and relaxed about it. Maybe some of you guys would be more alarmed by these issues that I've been showing on this particular piece. But personally, I really take it, well, just really relaxed, I guess, and it's not really anything that I'm really concerned about. And if I want to, I can easily fix these issues later on if I should find myself having the time for that. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as it is and not do more about it. But I can easily understand why people complain to Sideshow when they have these paint application issues, because, well, I can see that you're paying quite a lot of money and you expect things to be okay. Also, and when you have the prototype to look at and you compare them, you expect you don't expect to get a prototype, but you expect to get something that is as close to it as you can get. And when you have these blatant flaws and stuff going on, then it's completely fair, I find, to complain about it. But in my case, I think they are so small and minute that it's not really anything that I'm too concerned about. I think that this is a really nice statue. I think that the sculpt and the pose is just really awesome. And it's almost perfect, actually, because you have a theme going on in the base, and you just have this museum-like pose, and you know that I love these kinds of museum-like poses. So I really find this to be a high-level sculpt and statue as a whole, and I can highly recommend it to any fans of just DC Comics or Justice League or whatever. This is just a very iconic piece, and of course, if you have Batman, if you have Superman, then you of course also need to get Wonder Woman, because then you have the Trinity complete. So personally, I only have the Batman, and I'm probably gonna just leave it at that, because I don't really have any room for the Superman premium format. They are so big, and I don't understand why Sideshow have to make these huge and tall pieces with these really large bases. Even though they're quite awesome, they also just take up that much space, and I don't really have that much room left in my collection. So if I have to get anything new, I have to also sell something old. But that's a problem that I'm gonna, well, work with in the time to come. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a piece that comes with a few things that you need to be aware of. Weight issues in terms of the base, and of course the hand with the shield. But other than that, I find it to be of a very high level, especially if you are lucky and get, I don't like to use the word lucky, but if you get a good version of her without any obvious issues, then you're going to be very happy with it. I'm definitely sure about that. In any case, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and post them. Also, do remember to like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate the support. I'll be back soon with my review of the shield, the Captain America shield. I decided to squeeze this video in just before that because, well, I really just wanted to review this piece because I really like it. So I couldn't save it for that long. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and yeah, leave me a comment if you liked it. Alright, guys, thanks, bye.